What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Surfing the Stream, where every week we are on a quest to find out what is the greatest movie of all time. I am your host, Matt Primo, and joining me today via Zoom is my co-host, Christian Valencia.
Hey,
How you doing over there, Sarah? It looks like you're at a little soccer practice.
I am. Oh my God, soccer. So the most Mexican thing I can do, right?
God damn, you gotta edit that out.
But it's true.
Yeah. So every week, we do at least 2 movie reviews. Christian joins me for at least one of these episodes a week, and we do at least 2 different series. And any other kind of review is some random new releases that come out throughout the course of the week. We are currently in Kung Fu in review. This has been I've had a love-hate relationship with this series so far. I've watched 20 movies, almost 21. I'm almost done with Ip Man 3.
Oh,
yeah. So 20 movies up, and then I am currently doing John Wick in review. Eventually, I'll get that second review out. Hopefully, that'll be out this weekend for Patreon supporters. And then after John Wick, sir, I'm going to be doing Ninja Turtles in review.
that third one hurts.
Yeah, I gotta do all 5, buddy. But I think I'm going to enlist some guests on for those episodes. So it'd be like a new guest for each episode. I'm thinking that's via Zoom. So hopefully those will be some good some episodes.
Indeed.
If you like our content and you want to consider supporting us, you can go to patreon.com/2game. That is the number 2. There's a $5 tier, $10 tier, and a $20 tier. Shout out to our $20 tier supporters, Carmen Edmonds, Eric Hernandez, and Sharon Petrie. We appreciate y'all supporting us each and every month. Without y'all, we would not be able to do what we're doing right now. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank everybody.
And just in case you're like on the fence about Patreon, hey, we got some new content coming y'all's way, and it's basically gonna be 5 shows a week. I don't want to spoil any details just yet. We're kind of still working out the details on that, but 5 shows a week. 3 of those, yeah, 1, 2, 2 of those, 2 of those shows are Patreon exclusive. So yeah, when you get to Patreon, you're going to get in on those good episodes that are coming out here shortly.
The good.
The good. So what you're here for today, Enter the Motherfucking Dragon.
Yeah.
Bruce motherfucking Lee.
Savage.
So yeah, as part of our Kung Fu in review series, we are reviewing Enter the Dragon today. Our next review is Christian. I don't know if you'll do this for me or not, depending on how much time you have. Ong Bak is going to be the next review, but that's going to be specifically for Patreon supporters. So you have to be a Patreon supporter in order to watch that review. After that, what is it? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I think, is our next review.
That is.
After this. So I'm excited to watch that. I've never seen it.
I haven't seen that in a long time since it came out.
Yeah, I don't even know what to expect for that movie, to be honest with you.
There's a lot of what's the wiring? You know, the wires where they float around and they carry. That's a lot of, like, the whole movie's that. It's almost like Batman and Robin.
Oh God. But, don't remind me.
Less speaking.
PTSD, sir. PTSD. So let's jump into this Enter the Dragon review. I personally have never seen a Bruce Lee movie. This is my first Bruce Lee movie. So obviously I've never seen this movie. And
I'm sorry, I had brain fart. I was trying to think of how many there were, because I was thinking of Brandon Lee's too. And I was like, wait, Brandon Lee is his son. I was like, let's throw that one out the way. I had brain fart. I was thinking too much. Smell burnt toast.
You have a stroke?
Maybe. But yeah, I've watched Enter the Dragon and The Way of the Dragon. And the one I was describing to you for this one, just minus. I told you everything about this one, minus Chuck Norris. I was like, Chuck Norris is in this one, but everything I told you was the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no Chuck
Norris. So we'll run into the plot, give you some fun facts, and then we'll jump into our general impressions of the movie. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know I have like half a page of notes on fun facts. It's some good shit. Let's jump into it. So enter the dragon. A secret agent comes to an opium lord's island fortress with other fighters for a martial arts tournament. I mean, you can't get more kung fu plot than that.
Opium.
AKA Kung Fu James Bond. That's all you need to know.
Oh, yeah. All day.
So the director was Robert Klaus. He directed Game of Death, which is actually the last movie that Bruce Lee was in. And I think I actually have a fun fact for that in just a minute. So we'll get to that. This movie is released on August 19th, 1973. Ooh. It stars Bruce Lee, John Saxon, Jim Kelly, and Bolo Young, I'm assuming. Runtime of 1 hour and 42 minutes. It had a budget of $850,000. And it grossed gross worldwide 90 million, sir.
Ooh.
Jesus.
That low of a budget?
Right? Adjusted for inflation, 500 million. That's that's a lot of money for not even spending $1 million.
Right?
So fun fact time. The production had trouble finding actresses to play prostitutes, so they hired real-life prostitutes.
I love that.
One of the 2 English language movies in which Bruce Lee speaks with his natural voice. The other is Marlowe. The movie was filmed with this is one of my favorite fun facts. This movie was filmed without sound. All of the dialogue and effects were dubbed during post-production. So I was watching this movie throughout the course of the movie. I was like, dude, the audio sounds weird. Like it sounds like it's not coming from their mouths.
I mean,
it matches. I mean, it matches up pretty well, but for the most part, I was like, I don't know, that just sounds weird. And then I saw this fun fact, and that explains it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. This is Bruce Lee's final film to feature his direct involvement. Several of his films released after his death consist of archive footage from previous films. Bruce Lee died in Hong Kong 3 weeks before this movie's premiere. He died of cerebral edema or something like that. He had a seizure. He'd been having some headaches, apparently.
Yep.
Fights broke out.
I thought he died from a shot. That was his son. Never mind. I thought he died. Somebody shot him. I thought somebody shot him.
Oh, no, not him. Nope. Fights broke out on set between stuntman and extras hired from rival families of the Triads.
Fair.
This is the first Chinese martial arts film produced by a major Hollywood studio. In the finished screenplay, there were no details of what was happening in the action sequences. It just said they will be choreographed by Mr. Bruce Lee. That's all it said. Fair enough.
Savage.
And this is another good one. Mortal Kombat borrows multiple plot elements from this movie. So I was watching this and I was like, bro, this is like Mortal Kombat. Did you get those vibes?
I did when the tournament. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, this is almost exactly like Mortal Kombat. I mean, and better.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
God. So Liu Kang is heavily influenced by Bruce Lee, obviously. Benevolent Shaolin monk who fights shirtless in black kung fu pants. Shang Tsung, he's a mystical version of Han and holder of the island tournament with underlying sinister purpose.
I like it.
So, what did you think about this movie, sir?
It kind of did held up for being a 1970s movie.
It
really did.
I was very surprised by how well it held up. by how it held up.
Like the audio is, I mean, for it being dubbed over, it was pretty good, but the visuals and the camera work was just spot on. Like just spot on. And other than that, I mean, he did all his own stunts. You can see the kung fu was made to be safe because you didn't realize like a lot of these kicks don't hit at all. And the punches, the only ones that hit are Bruce Lee's, if you notice it, because he controlled his. Nobody else could control theirs. So nobody got hit besides Bruce Lee hitting people. That was it.
He's like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, but not whoop your ass at the same time.
And then the bruising, they actually showed like battle damage, which is kind of weird because you don't bruise that quickly in real life. But 1970s, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a pass on that.
Right? I mean, dude got punched in the face, big old bruise. Like, okay.
So my initial thoughts going into this movie was I don't know if it's going to hold up. Like I said, I never seen it, so I can't compare it to how I was as a kid, but I can compare it from a movie that's made, nowadays compared to how it was made in the 70s and 80s. So as soon as it started, I heard the music playing, and my first thought was, dude, that's like a James Bond ripoff.
Right.
And then the secret agent part comes in, and then he's like slithering around outside and being sneaky. And I'm like, bro, this is Kung Fu James Bond. And they consistently play that music throughout the course of the movie, and it made me like the movie so much more.
Right.
With that James Bond aspect of it.
All you were missing was the little circle where he shoots,
Yes.
in every James Bond. Where you're waiting for a kick and then the blood drops.
Right. Fatality.
Right.
So yeah, I did really enjoy this movie. I don't know where it's going to end up on my final list, or if it does. No spoilers for my list. But I think it would be bad if I did not include this somewhere on my top 10 list because it is so iconic. Right. I've never seen it, but I've seen images from this movie throughout the course of my life. The scratches on the face, iconic.
Right on the chest.
Yep, on the chest.
I mean, how many movies were like, and memes, like even memes today are still with that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
like looking at going, now that I didn't know it was made in the 70s. So like now knowing it's made in the 70s, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that was the thing that I was most curious about was, am I gonna like this? Because I've seen some of these older kung fu movies and they really show their age in how they look. And I was scared that I was not gonna like this or enjoy it. And I was gonna be bored out of my mind because it was in the 70s. But that's not the case. Now, some of the fights are, I wouldn't say they're bad. They're just not as good as some of the other fights in the movie. And you got to think, this is like my 20th movie in the Kung Fu series. I've seen some great fights over the course of 20 movies. I've also seen some shitty fights. So I'm comparing these fights to those fights. I know for a fact that if I saw this back in the 70s, it would be mesmerizing. It would be awesome. This is the best shit ever. Anything like that. But some of them just didn't land for me. But for the most part, I did really enjoy the fight choreography in this movie.
Definitely in the backyard practicing your Bruce Lee moves.
Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. And the thing about some of the movies that I've seen, like the Indonesian kung fu movies, they're more fast paced, and I've really grown to love the Indonesian kung fu movies. Oh, yeah. This one is more like slow and methodical in the way that they fight. It's like I don't know. I just don't see them fighting like that normally. Like you're in a fight with somebody, you're gonna go all out. They're just hey, yeah, like one little kick, and they step back and someone else punches. It's almost like a video game. Look,
Right.
Mortal Kombat game.
AB, up.
And I think the first thing that we really have to talk about in this movie is Bruce Lee himself. And like I said, I have never seen a Bruce Lee movie up to this point. And I thoroughly enjoyed him in this movie. And I'm probably just going to go check out the rest of his movies. The Way of the Dragon, I think I'm going to check that out next.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know about Game of Death. That's like, I know that's he has his funeral scene in that movie and whatnot. I don't know if that's actually something I'm going to watch. But I'm definitely going to watch Way of the Dragon and maybe like another movie of his before this is all said and done.
Yeah. I watched Way of the Dragon. I never heard of the other one, but I mean, I don't know if I would check it out either because it's kind of like, I mean, kind of cryptic and his death scenes in it, him actually be dead. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I don't know how that's going to go. That doesn't sound fun and exciting.
I don't want Bruce Lee's ghost in my house.
So I think the other thing that I want to mention, some of my negatives with the movie is mainly the slow buildup in the very beginning. It takes forever, it seems like, for them to get to the tournament. And then it seems like the tournament just goes just like that. It just like they have like 2 fights and then Bruce Lee is fighting and stopping the bad guys. I'm like, so what was the point of the tournament again? Because you're not even fighting the tournament.
He fought one fight.
Like, did he even fight a fight? I think he fought one. I think
he more murdered him. He more murdered him.
I think he fought one fight in the tournament. I was expecting more like a Mortal Kombat style tournament where the story revolves around the tournament itself, and then at the very end they kind of get away from the tournament and then fix all the sinister stuff.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that. I didn't like how the beginning fight was. Like, Bruce Lee is not known for taking down people. He's more for his like 1-inch punch or his kicks and his maneuverability. For him just to fucking pin that dude in his diaper down was just I was like, okay. All right. Yeah.
As far as the rest of his fights, the ending fight was really good. I enjoyed that. It felt like a little lackluster at times in that fight. It felt like that fight was geared more towards suspense than it was an actual fight.
Yeah.
And that's probably my only nitpick with that final fight. The mirror scene, dope.
Yeah. My only other fight that I didn't like was his sister's fights. Throughout the city. Like,
oh yeah.
I was like, what are you doing? Why did you go in this building?
and then she's like waiting for them to come in.
Right?
They bust through the window and then she goes and blocks the door. Like, they're coming through the window. I wouldn't worry about the door anymore.
Go through the door. Open the door and run back out. They're inside now.
It's her fight scenes. They seemed very very rehearsed.
Oh yeah.
Like you could tell that it wasn't very fluid and it didn't seem real in the aspect of the movie compared to everything else.
It almost seemed like Bruce Lee was one of those like instructors that you had to have it this way or with no way.
Yeah. Yeah, I do know that he had a bunch of issues with the producers and whatnot for this movie. I do know that. Mainly because he was wanting a certain way, and then they were like, hold on, dude. No way.
Time out.
And then he's like, I'm Bruce motherfucking Lee, bitch. And they're like, okay.
My name's on this, not you.
Yeah. So another thing I want to point out is the acting, because that is one of the biggest things when you go into one of these kung fu movies is the acting and the dialogue. Very key, very, very key to how the movie will shape up when it's all said and done. The acting for me, I thought Bruce Lee's acting was pretty dang good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone else, not really, not really.
I enjoyed the dude who betted a lot. I can't think of his name. Cooper, or maybe.
Oh, I done forgot his name.
Yeah, me too. Like he always betting. His acting was pretty good. I enjoyed his. The other guys, the black guy and
the dude with the fro.
That dude was his acting was kind of hit and miss, but he was more entertaining than it was anything.
Yeah, was it his acting or was it the character in general?
I think it was the character. I think it was the character.
Yeah, because I didn't really care for him either.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, it's okay to meh at times, the dialogue and the writing. But Bruce, I mean, you're here for Bruce Lee, so
yeah,
he did not disappoint.
He did not.
And another issue that I have with the movie, it's not really an issue. It's the characters in general. Some of them just seem very bland and boring. I can't even put my finger on what I don't like about them, to be honest with you. I do know that throughout the course of the movie, I never really cared about any of them. But at the same time, do you really need to? I mean, you're here for one character, and that's Bruce Lee. And he doesn't really need all those extra characters.
No.
The only really characters that you really need to develop throughout the course of the movie is maybe the main white guy, and then the sinister dude Han, and then maybe his family. That's really the characters that you really need to focus on, because the backbone of this movie is based off of that connection between Bruce Lee and the bad guy with his family.
And the other bad guy didn't really say anything. Like, he got stabbed in the face with a knife and just grunted. I'm like, bruh. And then when he fought Bruce Lee, he didn't say a word. He just grunted. And then the sister, she committed Sambuku and killed herself.
Right.
And like maybe one word was said from her. Maybe because she didn't know how to speak English, but then again, it's dubbed, so it wouldn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like. There was the character you said, the characters, there's no emotion or anything. The only emotion I saw was with Bruce Lee when he found out the truth about his sister. That was it.
Yep, that was it. And like I said, I don't know if you actually need those characters to do anything, but I think that would have elevated the movie a lot more if they did nail those characters, but they didn't really do that. But that doesn't really make it a bad movie in this case.
Give me more Tournament, and I'd be happy.
More Tournament, biggest complaint.
Yep.
And then one last thing that I want to say about Bruce Lee. Dude was motherfucking jacked.
Right?
He took his shirt off, and I was like, God damn.
And he did them stretches like that, just busting him up. I'm like, bro.
I was like, I got some of those underneath my fat.
Somewhere.
Yeah, for being in the 70s, I mean, I don't know much about bodybuilding and whatnot, obviously. But I don't think that bodybuilding was you didn't see an Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock back in the 70s. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger was back in the 70s, obviously. But for a movie star, I don't really remember any bodybuilders that were just jacked like that.
The big Asian one was. Remember the one in Bloodsport?
Bolo?
Yeah, he was jacked.
He was in this movie.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
He was jacked. He wasn't as jacked as he was in Bloodsport, but he's still jacked.
The only reason I know that is because I just watched Bloodsport yesterday.
Such a great movie.
Yes, but I counter your argument and say Kickboxer is basically the same movie. It's just significantly better.
I'm not arguing that, but Bloodsport's still a good movie.
I agree. So overall, I do really like this movie, and if you're a fan of kung fu movies, if you're a fan of Bruce Lee, or you want something different, then I recommend you go check this out. We watched it on Netflix, or I did anyways.
I did too.
But that's only available until the end of March. So I don't know if it's going to be on Hulu or Amazon Prime.
They usually swap it. They usually, if it goes to Netflix, it usually goes to Hulu. Okay. That's what I've been seeing.
Well, y'all check that out and find it. If not, it is on sale on Vudu for $13. Now,
wow.
So I have said this on the podcast many times before. I vehemently get pissed off about movies that are so old being more than $10. This movie is how old? 73. It's been a fucking minute since this movie's been out. Decades at that. Why is this movie still $13?
Probably because Bruce Lee's in it.
I get that, but 73. There's no reason for this movie to be $13. If this movie is like $5 or $7, I'd pick it up.
Oh yeah,
$7 max. $13. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna go pick something. I'm gonna go get another movie.
I agree with that.
So I give it 3.5 stars. I think it's a solid kung fu movie. I think it's pretty damn good, and it's entertaining at times. And despite some of my little criticisms of some of the dialogue, some of the characters, and then obviously the tournament that is not really a tournament, I think it's a highly enjoyable movie, and the ending is really where it gets its praise from me, because I really like that ending. The mirror fight scene is fantastic. It really is.
I give it a 4. Like you said, I need more tournament. It's like saying more cowbell. I need more cowbell, but right. I need more tournament. Like you said, the ending fight was where the whole thing just made it was just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But building up to that, it was kind of a letdown and yet boring at the same time. And then Bruce Lee would show up with his little quips, and he beating the kid in the beginning, for not,
yeah. Listening. Once he goes down into the bunker is really where that movie goes. Whoop.
Yeah.
And goes
but
up.
I mean, other than that, like his sister's scenes were unnecessary. Like, show her that she died.
It was unnecessary. It was unnecessarily long.
Exactly. And I mean, other than that, I mean, it's a solid movie for being as old as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd watch it again. I wouldn't buy it
absolutely.
for $13.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would definitely watch it again.
Well, there y'all have it. There's our review for Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee movie, currently on Netflix until the end of the month, like I said. So go check it out if you have time. If not, I'd wait for it to get on sale. I think it's going to be. I don't ever suspect our channel to be over because there's going to be movies till the end of time. But I think if we ever did do a top 100, top 200 influential movies of all time, I think this would be one of them, because you can see a lot of where movies in general have picked up some of the pieces that this movie has done. I think it's very influential in the grand scheme of film in general.
I agree. 100%.
All right, guys, that's going to conclude our review. If you like our content, go to patreon.com/2game and you can consider supporting us there. If you're watching us on YouTube, click on the subscribe button, follow us, and make sure you hit the little bell so you can get our notifications when we drop new content. We will catch y'all next time on another review. Christian, I appreciate you joining me at your kid's soccer practice.
No problem, man.
All right, guys, y'all have a good night.